Episode 78, How to Pick the Right Life Coach or Executive Coach.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And boom, there we go. Good morning and welcome to the 78th episode of the very best podcast in the world. And the only one in the universe source for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Those of you who haven't really taken the time to read the description of what this whole show is about, please take a moment and go to the very best podcast in the world.com and then go to about what it says. Goddamn, I sound like a Canadian. And take a moment to dwell in and see what the show is and what you can really learn from it. I think that's the most important thing, right? As you can hear, my cold is better because I have been overdosing on vitamins C and D and zinc and all the good stuff. And within 24 hours, I am much better. Now, I still sound a bit nasal, looking at the feedback that I'm getting on the headphones, but we're getting there. Feeling is a lot better. Turmeric is doing its thing. Everything's swell and dandy. Now, why in the fucking hell are we talking about life coaches and or executive coaches? Well, I shamelessly promote this podcast on Facebook and other social networks, and I got an inquiry. Well, actually, two inquiries. One was very straightforward and direct and said, hey, look, what you mention in your podcast sounds a lot like a life coach. And can you help me? I have these, those, and the other issues that I need, to overcome. And a very interesting conversation developed, really. And, two people actually asked me on the same day on a remark that I made on another comment, how can you help? What do you do for a living? And well, it actually crystallized later that, the avid listener will have kind of, not overheard that I did work as a personal coach for quite wealthy people and a lot of times their siblings, and help them to excel in life and to focus and to, get distractions out of their life, particularly with the siblings, not to be too, verbose and envy porn ridden and so on and so forth, to educate them in a more modest lifestyle. Then, it's like rich kids blow the money of their parents, and sometimes the parents just don't give a flying fuck. Others really do because, they want to keep them on a monetarily, financially short leash so that they, actually have to make their own money and their own way in life. And I prefer that because it strengthens the personality significantly, but it occasionally leads to your children running apeshit because they feel, underprivileged if you don't buy them the new Ferrari for their 16th birthday, which has actually happened. Interesting things transpire when you navigate in those circles. Now, I always did this personality life coaching thing as a side hustle. I never advertised it. But it was, it was mutual friends that I shared with an attorney in the Caribbean, a very influential attorney. And, he kind of brokered the deals. We talked about one thing, and then, that's what got the stone rolling, and eventually things started to develop. So I got clients pretty much all over the world from and through him, and, gave my advice. Now, should you select me? No. No, don't. Seriously. I've retired. So, if you have an interesting gig and, you have an interesting whatever you need to overcome, maybe I'll be tempted. If your story is good, if your personality ticks with mine, if you're not part of the 9 to 5 crowd, or if you are and, want to get out of there, there's other people who can do that. But if you're facing significant issues, anxiety, fear, whatever, then do reach out, pitch me your challenge in life, and I will have a look at it. However, this is about picking the right life coach and giving general advice on how to do that, because there are so many quote unquote gurus out there, who try to pickpocket you and get your money out of you, and the advice they give is based on BS. And that's what I'm trying to prevent with this episode, because I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt. One client I worked with went through 13 other people before me until he met me, and it was a very interesting experience that I will not go into, because confidentiality is insanely important in this business. And let's get started, right? I think, first of all, you need to identify the issues in your life and the challenges that you face, and determine with a no bullshit and very aware opinion whether or not you can overcome them yourself, or if you actually need help. This is insanely fucking important, because you're going to be the sucker, in the eyes of a coach if they hang up the phone with you on your monthly session and break out laughing because they think that you are really, really, really unable to live for yourself. And they're, if you're wealthy enough, they're going to suck on you for the rest of your life, and they're going to increase their prices and that kind of deal. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Happened repeatedly, or I've been briefed about issues like that repeatedly. That leads us to what I mentioned earlier, discretion, right? You're developing a very, 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 very personal and intimate relationship with this person. Now, what does that mean? Technically, they could turn around and use that knowledge against you to a later point. Has happened also. So, and plus, if they're not ill-willed, but, things go south, your phone calls could be intercepted if you're, interesting enough to certain people, because the conversations are obviously going to be very intimate. So, the calls could be intercepted, your emails could be intercepted, the files of your personality report and progress report and so on and so forth could be compromised, leaked, and then used against you. So a very important question to ask that coach is, how do you work? Do you work securely? Are our calls going to be encrypted? Are we going to use a platform that encrypts our calls? Are my files on your computer, are they going to be stored on some iCloud or Dropbox account, or are they actually physically encrypted on your computer? Well, physically encrypted. Yeah, technically physically encrypted. The email correspondence, right? A very, very big issue. Is that going to be encrypted? Or can, anybody just drop a man in the middle and, exfiltrate your email correspondence? Those are insanely important questions. And I think even the first questions you should ask. And, I hear this BS all the time. I have nothing to hide. Yes, you fucking do. And if it is just that you have this human right in the United Nations Human Rights Charter that you have a right to fucking privacy, make fucking use of it. Even if you have nothing to hide now, maybe things that you shared with your life coach and something gets, leaked will be illegal sometime in the future. And then, if this information leaks, it can be used against you in any way, shape, or form. So keep that in mind, right? Sorry, that was my nicotine cough. So, next important question for yourself is, do you tick? And are you on the same wavelength with the coach, right? You're going to hear this in your introductory call and you're going to feel it, right? And I'm explicitly mentioning calls because that's obviously how the trait goes nowadays. I was always on a plane to somewhere and then spent a few weeks with the client, did very intensive on-location work, and then we kind of went ahead and actually called and, whether there were adjustments, but I frequently visited the clients. Obviously, from what I've read, that's nowadays a no-no. Yeah, okay, we've got the Rona, so that makes it very difficult. But I think if you're serious about it, there's actually ways to circumvent even the Rona regulations, right? Which change daily or hourly even in some countries, right? Goes to say, you can only get a certain amount, you can only assess a certain amount of personality from the coach when you don't see and experience them live. I mentioned that in, another episode where I went into the meaningful things are invisible to the eye. And, the smell counts. Do you just tick with a person, right? With your coach? Are you, the dream team? And is there the right feeling, the right wavelength? It's something very difficult to convey over the phone or, even over video meeting platforms, right? Now, another thing you don't want really is a psychologist. And let me tell you why. When giving life advice, psychologists are usually very, technical, theoretical. That's the word I'm looking for, right? And when you want to tackle challenges that life presents you, you want somebody that's very much in touch with their practical and spiritual sides, right? Because that's just how things are. That's how problems are. You can talk about them and the psychologist can take notes of them and, try to analyze it until death do you part. But it's not going to change the situation, right? You need a practical person, but you also need the spiritual side because what you do is going to affect you spiritually. Maybe, normally in a positive way, but on the way to the positive result, you're going to go through some negative shitholes, working on the challenges in your life. And so you want somebody that's in touch with their spiritual and emotional side to give you guidance also in those kind of issues that will catch you when you're falling into these negative shitholes on your way to the positive outcome of that, whatever it is, your challenge, right? Looking for an alternative personality, and I mean with this like a nonconformist, somebody that's different in their appearance, the way they speak, the way they engage, is usually something good. Because what you normally come across is your, what is it? The IFC, I think sounds like the WWF, I think it's the International Federation of Coaches or something like the ICF, whatever. And they've got this long list of credentials and, whatever hours they have spent on training. But the fact is that they are not going to be well traveled with tremendous amounts of access to many different cultures, helping understand the global picture, really. They won't have a lot of experience in a variety of fields, simply because they were so fucking busy, cramming for their certificates, right? And so again, I'm coming back to the psychologist. You want somebody practical that can practically help you solve issues in your life. Period. I think enough said. It's like, yeah, it's like that. Another very important thing is for you to ask the coach what plan and method this coach applies, right? And have them lay it out to you. How are we going to get to our goal that we set, right? What's the progress? What's the timeline? What's the progress? What are your instruments that you're going to use? And how am I going to know that I'm making progress? This is usually done by feedback that you get in form of, papers and pre-designed kind of templates on where, you make certain amounts of progress. That's at least how I worked. And another very important thing to look at is whether or not this coach does shitloads of marketing. And you're going to be like, well, yeah, if they can afford good and glamorous marketing, no. Shut up, bitch. And here's the thing. Coaching is an insanely personal thing. And there is only so many hours to the day. And, coaches are anything but superhuman, which means that they only have a certain amount of time budget per day that they can invest. And once that budget is full, that's going to result in poor quality. And you're going to end up as some kind of number in their filing cabinet, and their schedule is so tight that, you're going to get your 55 minutes of call because the other 5 minutes of the hour they have to, in 5 minutes, take notes of what happened on the call and put everything into your progress report, because then is the next call already lined up and already on hold for them to accept, and then to move on again and again and again and again. So they don't have time to reflect on you. And it's insanely important, getting back to the intimate relationship part, right? That you're building with this person. So that's a very important indicator to look for, and also to ask, how many clients do you have? And if they, start boasting at you, I have, 100 clients, do your math and think what is realistic. Let's say you have in your package, you've got 2 calls per month, or let's say 4 calls a month, right? So you're a client. So the workday has about 8 hours, 10 if you push it. But the dude's got to eat. The dude's got to shit. The dude's got to work out. The dude's got to attend to his family, and so on. So, let's be fair and say 6 hours per day, right? That's times 5, because they don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. 6 times 5 is 30. So boom, 30 clients a week, and that's what you can handle. And that's actually it, period. That is fucking it. If they say, I have 100 clients, that should set off, the warning sign in your head, the warning signal in your head, the ham horn going like, wow, that dude's out. Because yeah, you can optimize things and so on. But again, they're going to be so busy optimizing the way they work. And that's actually going to be insanely difficult for them to actually pay attention to you, right? And that's what you want. You want, at least in part, for them to understand your problems, for them to have a time of day when they can reflect on your problems and actually help you work on practical solutions for overcoming your challenges. That's fucking the point of this entire operation. And if they have too many clients, then run away, right? Now, I mentioned packages, and that's something which a lot of coaches do. Whether or not you want to sign up for those, totally up to you, totally up to your personal feeling about the personality of the coach. And these packages usually include one-on-one sessions, which are either in person or phone. They will, have email and text support issues. Email and text messaging support for your, very important things that come up when you need immediate help. Then you have the homework kind of thing, where you get assignments to work on yourself and then to report back in the next call and report about how you did. Then you have, as needed, very important calls coming through. They're going to do personality assessments and debriefings, and there's going to be journaling involved and goal tracking and accountability and that kind of thing. And it's totally up to you. What I would suggest, because some of those coaches require a long-term commitment of, let's say, 12 months. So you're going to be caught with them contractually for 12 months. And if they turn out to be an idiot after a month, you're going to be stuck paying them for 11 months more, right? And so that's very important to look into. Their argument is going to be, well, yeah, if you don't book these 12 months, you're not serious about changing yourself because we need that much time. Yeah, that's a valid argument to a degree. But if they don't have a get out of jail card in there that says, well, if I turn out, from a coach perspective, if I turn out to be an asshole, you're going to be able to walk away and we're going to talk about this and I'm going to let you out. Normally that doesn't happen, right? So you're going to be stuck paying them for another 11 months, even though, after the first month, they turn out to be a complete dick, right? And so that's something you have to be very comfortable with. You have to be comfortable with their personality. You have to be comfortable with their credentials. You have to be, if they tell you who their clients are, run the fuck away, right? Because again, this is insanely intimate. And if you know that, celebrity XYZ is the life coach client of your coach, I don't know if I want to work with that person, right? And so, yeah, but that's, me personally, right? And the last, and I think even most important thing is that the price should actually be irrelevant. And I know it's easy to say because I usually worked with high net worth individuals or very high net worth individuals. And those were interesting experiences. But, there's a lot of people out there that need to kind of pay attention to the money that they're going to spend. But, don't go to your discount supermarket life coach who offers, the least bang for the same buck. Don't do that. That's going to turn out to be a crappy experience in maybe a lot of cases. I haven't heard anything really to the contrary. There must be good people out there. But I'm not too sure. So don't make sure not to tie your selection or your pick on, the least expensive person. That's, find something in the middle. Or, if you have a very specific problem and there's somebody that can solve it for you because they're very experienced in the techniques that need to be applied, then choose that person, choose to work with that person. In that sense, that was my brain dump on life coaches and executive coaches. And I wasn't very picturesque because the individual challenges that everybody faces are so different that even the giving away the work environment would kind of influence you in your decision making. So take what I said, for all it's worth. It's based a lot on experiences that I've made. Again, this wasn't my main profession. This was a side hustle because I got the interest in the human mind along the way of my first life in the career, which was in the financial sector. And we had a lot of trainings in psychology and NLP and hypnosis and selling techniques, which essentially is the same thing. And that's where my curiosity in the human mind was born. And that's how I met this attorney who was looking for someone to solve a problem that, that the daughter of a client of his had. Was very traumatic. And I got flown in, and we actually solved the problem to a very great degree. Not entirely, because the emotional scarring of a situation like that is never going to go away. But I got the daughter to really, to a degree where she was able to live a very happy life after what had happened to her. And for a year, she was just, shut down about that. Anyhow, that's, personal. So in that sense, please share this episode with your friends. If you find someone that needs a life coach, share this episode, because they should be very, very wary, very weary, very cautious about selecting them. If you have not subscribed to this podcast, shame on you. Do so now. It's available on pretty much all platforms. If you have questions or feedback or whatever it is at the end of the day, right? Write an email to the very best podcast in the world at gmail.com and have a successful day. Most importantly, without a cold. And if you have a cold, overdose on vitamin C, D, and zinc helps, really. Makes you feel all, energetic again. And after the successful day, have a good night. If you've had your success, then go directly to the good night bit and have sweet dreams. And, we will be in touch with each other again tomorrow. And I'm totally looking forward to that. I have no idea what we're going to speak about. But it's going to be cool, like all episodes, pretty much. At least that's what the feedback says that you guys send through email. All right, stay tuned, leave your hands above the blanket, and we will be in touch tomorrow.